So thank you everybody for joining in. It's our pleasure to host you. Uh, Today being a very important webinar, we had to host this in a very short period of time. A lot of you would have read it on newspapers or some WhatsApp forwards. Uh, this is an amendment which has come in the last budget, but the impact has been understood only in the last few months because there was an hope that something would change. The amendment says that on a broad level, the experts are going to take this in detail, which says that MSMEs, the intention of the amendment is that MSMEs need to be paid on time, and in case MSMEs are not paid on time, it needs to have consequences for the companies or businesses which don't pay on time. And the consequence that has been announced this time is that any purchase or expense through that MSME will not be allowed as an expenditure. Now, this has huge impact, and sometimes it may increase, your taxable income by multiples, not by percentages. Uh, so, understanding the depth of the subject and the risk that is involved, it was imperative for us that we don't just send a note around it, but host a webinar so that if we have questions around it, those can be asked. And together we will be able to find some solutions if there are any, or at least be aware of the risks that are associated here. To lead the whole webinar is the partner of our firm, CA Ashwin Jain. Ashwin heads the direct tax practice and has been at the forefront of researching on this. His article has also been published at various tax forums on the internet, and he's been pretty forefront on being vocal about the subject and the implications. So with this, I'll hand over to Ashwin to take the subject forward, and I am also around in case later we have some questions and there is some input that comes from my side, while Ashwin is generally going to be an expert in this field. So over to you, Ashwin. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir sir, for your kind introduction. So, as Samir sir has initially mentioned that it is with respect to disallowances of payment made to MSMEs, which is applicable. Basically, it was applicable from 1st April 2023. So, this provision has made an amendment to the Income Tax Act 1961. So, let's see slide by slide what amendment or how it will impact our businesses. So this is the initial snapshot which states about the contribution of MSMEs. So in last year, MSME contributes nearly 33% of overall GDP has been contributed by MSMEs, and around 44% of the exports are contributed by MSME. So from this slide, we can certainly say that there is a pivotal role of MSME in the growth engine of the economy or in the economy. So it involves significant contribution from the various sector, be it manufacturing sector, trading sector, service sector. So government has made some amendment with respect to payment to these MSMEs. So let's see how it affects our businesses. So they have amended one of the section in income tax, which is section 43B. So let's see what section 43B speaks about. It is an initiative for promoting timely payment to micro and small enterprises. So it is an agenda of the finance ministry. At the time of speech, she particularly deliberated that we need to aware, or we need to get vendor need to get a timely payment. So they have amended section 43B and they have inserted new clause, which is section 43BH. So let's see what section says about, then we will drag into it. So section says that any sum payable by an SSE to micro or small enterprises beyond the time limit specified in section 15 of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006 shall be allowed as deduction only on actual payment. However, it is proposed that the proviso to section 43B of the Act shall not apply to such payments. So let's drag this definition into 2 to 3 segments. So primarily it speaks about it is applicable to micro and small enterprises. So they have excluded the scope of medium enterprises from the disallowances of these provisions. So exclusively it is applicable to small micro and small enterprises, and this amendment is primarily taken into effect with effect from 1st April 23, and accordingly for this financial year which is ending on 31st March 24, this amendment will be applicable. So let's see how it impact. So as earlier we have stated that we saw that they have included the definition enterprises. So just let me go back once again. Any sum payable by an assessee to micro or small enterprises. So what do you mean by the term enterprises? So Income Tax Act has not specified, they have not deliberated the meaning of the term enterprises. So they have told that you need to see into the micro small MSMED Act, you have to refer. So for everyone's reference, we have categorically displayed the definition of enterprises. It says that enterprises means an industrial undertaking or business concern or any other establishment by whatever name called, engaged in manufacture or production of goods in any manner pertaining to any industry specified in schedule to the Industries Development and Regulation Act, or engaged in providing or rendering of service or services. So to simplify this definition, they have primarily included service sector, पूरा included हो गया, and they have categorically included manufacturing sector, which is manufacturing sector, production of goods and any other. So the question comes, one question comes in the mind of people that whether trader will be included in the definition of MSMED or not. We will see in due course whether trade will be included in the definition of MSME and whether this provision will be applicable to the trader or not. Let's see in coming slides. So first of all, we need to check whether the enterprises is classified in micro, small and medium. So they have given a limit about which enterprises would be termed as micro, small and medium. So as per MSMED Act, it says that an enterprise will be considered as micro when an investment in plant, machinery and equipment is up to 1 crore and annual turnover is up to 5 crore. So these twin conditions need to be satisfied. That means investment in plant and machinery is up to 1 crore, annual turnover is up to 5 crore. Both the conditions are satisfied, then that particular enterprises will be termed as micro enterprises. So going back, what do you mean by small enterprises? You have to multiply by 10. Then in that case, they have stated that investment in plant, machinery and equipment is more than 1 crore, but up to 10 crore. 1 ka multiplication 10. Annual turnover is 5 ka multiplication 50. Annual turnover is more than 5 crore, but up to 50 crore. This is what they have termed as a small enterprises. So basically the provision of this section 43BH, it is applicable to micro and small enterprises. So medium enterprises, as per the definition, says that investment in plant and machinery, equipment is more than 10 crore and up to 50 crore. Annual turnover is more than 50 crore up to 250 crore. So it says that it should be classified in the definition of medium enterprises if it fall into that bracket. Above that, it has not been specified. It will be a large enterprises. So amendment will be applicable to micro and small. So we need to check in which category our vendor falls, whether they are micro or whether they are small enterprises. So let's move forward. So now, as we saw the definition of the term micro, small, medium enterprises. So now how this provision will get attracted, we need to verify that, or what is the terms and condition, or at what picture this provision will be attracted to us. So let us see. So it says that whether agreement regarding terms of payment between buyer and supplier exists or not. So primary condition is that we need to see whether there is any agreement between buyer and supplier regarding payment terms. If yes, then we need to see whether payment has been made. If yes, then we need to see whether we have to make payment on or before the agreed terms or 45 days from the date of acceptance. So in that case, section says that if you have any terms and condition, then say for example हमारा terms है कि we will make a payment within 60 days, but as per MSMED Act it says that कि अगर आपका is there any clause in the agreement or 45 days whichever is earlier, अगर आपका 60 days का terms है लेकिन 45 days is the blanket period, 45 days का condition है, so whichever is earlier your payment should be cleared within 45 days. So again there can be a question that what do you mean by the term agreement, or whether we have what if we don't have any agreement and all those things. So certainly everyone in our invoices we are writing about credit terms कि within 7 days 15 days payment देना है. So in normal parlance it is as good as you have mentioned the clause of payment. So that clause will be read as good as agreement wala clause, and you have to make sure that if वहां पे 15 days लिखा है then 15 days वाला ही terms applicable होगा, not 45 days. So we need to make sure what we are mentioning our invoices or what we are entering into an agreement. So agreement में जो terms and condition डाल रहे it will play a vital role. So another is if we don't have, if there's a no due date, then what? Then basically सेक्शन और एमएसएमई एक्ट सेज दैट के 15 डेज में क्लियर हो जाना चाहिए. इन दैट केस कहीं पे भी लिखा नहीं है, आपके इनवॉइसेस में भी आपने कुछ मेंशन नहीं किया है, एंड देयर इज नथिंग इन फॉर्मल कम्युनिकेशन टाइप. सो इट सेज दैट यू हैव टू क्लियर द पेमेंट विद इन 15 डेज फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस. अगेन कोई भी वी डोंट हैव एनी एग्रीमेंट इन प्लेस. एग्रीमेंट है तो उसमें डेट नहीं है तो भी 15 डेज. अगर एग्रीमेंट ही नहीं है then we need to make a payment within 15 days. So this is very crucial. It will play a crucial role in the month of February and March, how we will see in ongoing slides. So just for your reference, if you have any doubt, then we can certainly take at this position as well, and or you can write it down. We will certainly take at the end of the deliberation. So there are certain terms. So जो अभी हम लोग ने प्रीवियस स्लाइड में देखा कि व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय द डेट ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस, व्हाट इज डीम्ड एक्सेप्टेंस, व्हाट इज अपॉइंटेड डे. सो डेट ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस का डेफिनेशन वी नीड टू चेक इट फ्रॉम MSMED एक्ट. So it says that there are two limits. One says that the day of actual delivery of goods or rendering of services. Two, if there are any objection is made in writing by the buyer regarding acceptance of goods or services within 15 days from the day of delivery of goods or services, the day on which such objection is removed by the supplier. So in simple terms, on the day of acceptance of goods, या तो फिर if there are any quality issue or there are any service issue, then we need to write it to the vendor about the discrepancy, and when the day of acceptance will kick in, whenever he or she or they have removed that particular defect. So in case if there is any defect or issue in the delivery of goods or rendering of services, objection has been made in writing by the buyer within 15 days, then in that case date of acceptance shall be the date on which objection has been removed by the supplier. तो ये बहुत important condition रहेगा. Say for example किसी का 20th का invoice है, 20th March and all those things. So in that case if there are any objection, then you need to put those objection on record so that at a time our periods will kick in from the day when they have removed that particular objection. Again, day of deemed acceptance. So if when there is a no objection made in writing by the buyer or regarding the acceptance within 15 days, then after 15 days khatam ho gaya, then it will be a deemed acceptance. Again, appointed day, it is taken from an MSME Act only. The day following immediately after expiry of 15 days, जहां पे कोई भी there is a no clause per se in agreement, then in that case जैसे ही 15th day खत्म हो जाएगा, then that will be an appointed day. That means that is a payment due date आ जाएगा वो. So let us see by some example. If an agreement specify 20 days, then payment has to be made within 20. If in that case, as we have saw earlier that agreement stated number of days 20 days और वहां पे 45 days था MSME Act में, then in that case payment has to be made within 20th day of invoice because your agreement has specifically stated the terms of payment. If agreement specifies 60 days, then payment has to be made within 45 day of invoice. So again, in that case, agreement says higher period of terms, but MSME Act restricted it to the 45 days only. Then in that case, our payment needs to be released within 45 days. If nothing, if no agreement, nothing in written, then it needs to be cleared within 15 days of invoice. So as we initially discussed whether this provision is applicable to the trader or not, because if you see the definition of the term enterprises which is defined in section 2, which categorically stated that it applicable to the manufacturing and service sector, so one may ask whether it is applicable to the trader or not. See, at the time of deliberation by the finance minister, she has not categorically dealt with this thing, and as on date there is no circular or any clarification from CBDT or income tax department whether it is applicable to the trader or not. But by going through the intention definition of this particular thing, so in MSME there is one circular of Government of India which stated that key provision of, see, one thing I just wanted to clarify that is that whether trader can register in trader can obtain a Udyog Aadhar and all those things, Udyam Aadhar registration, but certainly they have restricted their benefit to the priority sector lending only because this circular has been issued after COVID. So a lot of traders are facing difficult working capital issues and all those things. So certainly they have told that trader can register, but registration on Udyam portal is specifically with respect to priority sector lending only, and they cannot take any other benefit. So they have clarified this via circular. In this context, some trader to get a benefit of provision of delayed payment available, it is clarified that as mentioned in the aforesaid OM, benefit to retail and wholesale trade MSME are restricted only up to priority sector lending. That means banking के जो functions होंगे वहां पे ही trader can come into picture, and any other benefit including delayed payment are specifically excluded. So in nutshell, one can take a play, one can rely on MSMEs, this circular, and can see that trader are not included because there is no official communication from the CBDT itself. But certainly we can place a reliance on this circular saying that they have included trader for the specific purpose only. So provision of Income Tax Act section 43BH with respect to disallowances will not be applicable to the trader. But again, I say that there is no clarification from the CBDT. It is see, this is the first year of the provision. So department can take on other views as well. But certainly these will come into play. Down the line, we will come to know whether trader are included or not. But our view is that certainly they have excluded the trader. Reliance has been placed on this particular memorandum. So let us see some scenarios, how it will impact. So X Limited purchase goods worth rupees 15 lakh from Y Limited, and Y Limited is a small enterprises as per section 2 of MSME Act. So first of all, we need to check whether our vendor जिससे हमें पेमेंट करना है whether he is falling into micro, small और मीडियम में रहेगा तो स्पेसिफिकली प्रोविजन अट्रैक्ट ही नहीं होगा, वेदर अगेन स्मॉल है कि माइक्रो है. सो यहाँ पे वो स्मॉल एंटरप्राइजेस है. सो सिनेरियो 1 सेज दैट एक्स लिमिटेड मेक्स पेमेंट विद इन द टाइम अलाउड अंडर सेक्शन 15 ऑफ MSME एक्ट. तो क्या होगा, वेदर अलाउड होगा, डिसअलाउड होगा. So entire sum will be allowed as a purchases because payment has been made within the time limit as stipulated under section 15. So next scenario would be X Limited makes payment after time allowed under section 15 of MSME Act, but within the previous year only. So again, it is very important that they have made a payment, but within the same financial year only. See, one need to take care about year-end outstanding. During the financial year, if there is any delay in making the payment, but आपने वही same financial year में वो bill clear कर दिया, then in that case this provision would not be, then basically disallowances would not be triggered. So entire sum will be allowed as a purchases because payment has been made in the year of incurring expenses. Say for example, invoice is on 10th April का invoice and we have made payment on 10th October. So you will say that यार 45 days में निकल गया and all those things. But by going through the section, it says that कि अगर आपने payment in previous financial year में कर दिया, then certainly disallowances would not be attracted. Basically, we need to check about year-end provisions and all. So let's see. X Limited makes payment in 24 and 25. Financial year 24 and 25 after time allowed under section 15 of MSME Act, but before due date of ITR. Now it is very important that, say for example, as we are aware that there are various statutory dues payment or interest to NBFCs and all those things which is paid after the due date. Say for example, we are making bonus payment to our employees, or we are making PF ESIC payments, or we are making interest payment to NBFCs. So we are aware that if we make payment before the due date of filing ITR, then it is allowed as per provision of section as per income tax laws. But in MSME, as we have gone as we saw the definition of MSME in earlier slides, it says that proviso to section 43B will not be applicable. So what proviso says that you have to make payment within the due date only. Say for example, year end ke payments hai. In that case, you have to make payment within the time or within the MSME, within the time of agreement or MSME Act. So in that case, payment will be disallowed in 23 and 24. Why? Because they have made payment after the due date specified in MSME Act, but before the due date of filing ITR. In other cases, say for example, in case of bonus, certainly it will allowed, but as they have not extended the benefit of proviso, so in this case, payment will be disallowed in 23-24, but it will be allowed in the financial year 24-25, because as I told that benefit of proviso will not be applicable. So one need to be sure about year end provision. Say for example, we are booking invoice in the month of February or March, then we need to make sure that whether they are falling under micro, small or medium. So we will see how we will come to know that whether a particular enterprises is micro, small, medium, and what procedure we need to follow to make sure that this disallowances would not be triggered at the time of our audits. So we have just drawn one case study so that we will come to know the impact of these disallowances and about the declaration and all. So net profit for the financial year 23-24 is 5 lakh rupees. Amount outstanding towards creditor is 15 lakh rupees, which is outstanding for more than 45 days. So as we saw in the previous slide, it is stated that out of the above amount, 5 lakh was paid before 31st March 24, 7 lakh was paid before the filing return of income, and balance 3 lakh was outstanding on the date of filing or return of income. So there are three scenarios in out of 15 lakh, 5 lakh was paid before 31st March 24. 7 lakh was paid before the due date of filing returns. Say for example, we are in the audit, then due date of 30th September or October will be applicable. So we have paid 7 lakhs, say for example, in the month of 30th October, that is before the filing tax audit report. Balance 3 lakh was outstanding on the date of filing return of income. So how it will impact us is net profit for financial year 23-24, that is about 24-25 is 5 lakh rupees. 5 lakh rupees will be allowable. Reason is being we have paid it before the due date, before 31st March 24. And again, out of 15 lakh, 5 lakh rupees allowed, 7 lakh we have paid at the time of filing return of income, and 3 lakh rupees is remain outstanding. So 10 lakh rupees will be disallowed for this financial year. So it will be added back to our return of income, 10 lakh. So our net profit will be increased from 10 lakh rupees from 5 to 15 lakh. And then whatever tax rate applicable to your entity, be it partnership firm, LLP or private limited company or individual, accordingly, we need to pay tax on 15 lakh rupees. So certainly in next financial year, you have made a payment of rupees 7 lakh, next financial year में 7 lakh अलाउ हो जाएगा and 3 lakh rupees भी आपने पे किया तो वो भी अलाउ हो जाएगा in next financial year, but you have to bear the hit of this 10 lakh rupees. Say for example, we are in the bracket 30% individual in that case, then additional 3 lakh, 3.5 lakh rupees will be the liability for non-payment to MSME. So we need to take care about our payments. So certain recommendation which we will see. So as we initially discussed, how we will come to know about whether our vendor is in micro, small or medium. So we would suggest that we need to take a declaration from them whether they are falling under micro, small or medium, because the declaration only because at the end of the day we cannot verify or we cannot check their income tax portal, or we cannot get their fixed asset amount and all those things. So certainly we need to obtain a declaration from them, and based on the declaration we need to decide and we need to have a call whether they are falling in micro, small and medium based on the declaration. And that declaration will be our document for the purpose of audit. Again, recommended that micro and small enterprises include a specific note on their invoices explicitly stating their enrollment under MSME Act. So lot of vendors are our client, they are include a specific note whether they are falling under micro, small or medium enterprises under MSME Act. So it is recommended that you should include this note as well, or this particular status को कि what under which category we are following. So again, it is the liability of the assessee to identify the supplier status, that is written declaration from all the supplier of goods and services as to their status of registration under Act is to be sought. And if they claim their status as a registered, then we need to take our registration we need to have their registration certificate. Again, the provision will be applicable to registered person only. So through this declaration, we can come to know that which all our vendor are registered under MSMED or not. Because at the time we are not, how we, there's no mechanism to check whether they are registered or not. We need to obtain a declaration from them, certainly. Then after the declaration, we can conclude whether they are registered or not, or under which category they are following. So it is imperative for the client to accurately maintain a distinct list of creditor categorized as MSME from beginning of the fiscal year. But this entail acquiring certificate or declaration from the creditor confirming their status. So once this webinar is over, then you need to decide, or we need to get a declaration from our vendor about their status. So again, it is important for as a purchaser to ensure that the invoice entity qualify under micro and small enterprises, so that there is no disallowances at the end of the year. Again, as a tax auditor, we also need to state in our tax audit report whether you have complied with this provision or not. And non-compliance with this provision certainly attracted disallowances. And up to my mind, if we are disallowing a large portion, then it can attract assessment as well. But before assessment, we need to pay the taxes. So certainly we need to be sure and get our payment done, or for all the vendor which are following in micro and small enterprises. And again, if you are making payment of any interest, see, lot of micro and small enterprises are demanding interest for the late payment. Again, interest payment to them, it is not allowable expenses under Income Tax Act. So any payment made to them, if they are demanding any payment and you are making them an interest payment, then certainly it will be disallowed at the time of filing your audit or return of income. Again, timely payment is important for the purpose of avoiding disallowances and all additional. So there are certain FAQs which we have designed. So whether this provision will be applicable to all the creditor outstanding as on 1/4/23 and remain outstanding as on 31st March 24. So certainly, intention of law is not to apply this amendment retrospectively. So again, this provision will not be applicable to creditor outstanding as on 1/4/23 and remain outstanding by end of this financial year. Again, one more interesting question comes up whether double disallowances under section 40 AIA and 43B would be attracted if payment is outstanding as on 31st March 24 and TDS under section 194Q. So let me brief you what it says. So section 40 AIA basically speaks about if we have made any payment and we have not deducted TDS. Say for example, you have made a payment to creditors or sorry, you have made a payment to professionals or you have made a commission payment and you have not deducted the TDS. So in that case, in income tax, one section is section 40 AIA, which state that if you have not deducted TDS, then 30% of that particular expenses will be disallowed. And before 31st March, you have not, or before the time limit specified in MSME Act, you have not made payment to that particular vendor. So in that case, whether double disallowances would be attracted or not. So up to my mind, by reading literal provision of the law says that there would not be any double disallowances. Disallowances under section 43B would be triggered and not under section 40 AIA. Reason is being since we are not claiming any expenses in this financial year due to disallowances. So whatever amount disallowed in this financial year will be allowed in the next financial year whenever you make the payment. So there to that effect, there would not be any disallowances under section 40 AIA. But again, as an auditor, there is one separate clause in tax audit report. We need to specify all the payment which have been made without or they have not complied the TDS provision. Say for example, you have made a professional fees and you have not deducted the TDS. Then tax auditor has to specify the name of the party, PAN number, amount. And again in 43B, we need to specify about this disallowances. Certainly, tax auditor has to report this particular disallowances, but at the time of filing our return of income, it will be disallowed under section 43B. So to that effect, there would be a mismatch between tax audit report and return of income, but practically, abhi tak since provision is not yet done, we have not filed the return for financial year 23-24. But certainly there will be a mismatch between audit report and return of income. So we need to take care how CPC process the return of income. And if there is any discrepancy with respect to disallowances, because automatically CPC, based on the tax auditor report, CPC can make a disallowances. So to that effect, we need to make a deliberation to the CPC, and if required, we need to write a letter to the AO. One more important question is whether provision of section 43BH is applicable to the person declaring income under section 44 AD or ADA. So as we are aware that these are the presumptive taxation section, presumptive taxation scheme section. So by going through the provision of law, these disallowances would not be triggered if any person is declaring their income under section 44 AD or ADA, because there is a specific carve out exclusion is that no disallowances provision from 28 to this section 43H and 44 till that there will not be any disallowances. So person declaring income under these two sections will be exempted from making any disallowances. So that's it from my end. If you have any question, then certainly can take it.
Thank you, Ashwin. In case anybody has questions, they can unmute and ask the questions, or if they want, they can write it on the chat.
So we have a one question in chat box. So it is applicable to service industry. Yes, sir. As we have, as I have deliberated in the presentation only itself that it is applicable to the manufacturing and service sector. So it is applicable to service industry.
Ashwin sir, Tejas here.
Sorry.
Tejas here.
Yes, yes, तेजस जी बोलिए ना.
सर सपोज मैं 45 डेज क्या बियॉन्ड पेमेंट करता हूँ, लेकिन वही सेम फाइनेंशियल ईयर में रहेगा तो क्रेडिट ले सकता हूँ ना? डिसअलाउ
Yes,
तो नहीं
yes,
होएगा?
sir. Yes, say
तो
for
सो
example. हाँ जी, sorry.
सो व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दैट 45 डेज लिमिट?
सर कैसा है ना, सेक्शन अगर आप लिटरली सेक्शन का वर्डिंग रीड करते हो ना, इट सेज दैट पेमेंट इफ यू हैव मेड पेमेंट विद इन द फाइनेंशियल ईयर ओनली, तो डिसअलावेंसेस अट्रैक्ट नहीं होगा. अगर समझिए आपने, आपको से फॉर एग्जांपल 1 मार्च का बिल है एंड बिल सेज
ओके
दैट कि यू हैव टू मेक अ पेमेंट विद इन फॉर एग्जांपल 15 डेज ओनली. सो आपको 15 दिन में पेमेंट करना चाहिए. 15 और 45 विच एवर इज अर्लियर, आपने पेमेंट नहीं किया, डिसअलाउ हो जाएगा. सो जो भी आउटस्टैंडिंग रहेगा आपका as
ओके
on 31st March 24, you need to make sure that whether they are, सबसे पहले तो आइडेंटिफाई करना रहेगा माइक्रो और स्मॉल में, एंड देन उनका पेमेंट यू हैव टू क्लियर विद इन द डेडलाइन और एमएसएमई, या तो फिर अपना क्रेडिट टर्म्स जो 15 डेज का 20 डेज वॉट एवर. सो ड्यूरिंग द फाइनेंशियल ईयर का इंटेंशन नहीं है डिसअलाउ करना, बिकॉज एट अ टाइम इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर द इंडस्ट्री टू मेक द पेमेंट. उनका डिले
ओके
कहीं ना कहीं पे तो होगा ही, बट सर्टेनली जो, टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन, ईयर एंड वाले आपके जो भी एक्सपेंसेस रहेंगे बेसिकली उस पे ये ट्रिगर होगा.
ओके ओके, थैंक यू.
हेलो.
यस, हेलो.
एज पर एमएसएमई एक्ट 45 डेज के अंदर अगर मेरे को पेमेंट करना है, बट यू सेड इफ देयर इज नो अग्रीमेंट मेरे को 15 डेज के अंदर पेमेंट करना है. सो व्हाट वी हैव टू कंसीडर, 15 डेज और 45 डेज?
सी अगर आपका कोई भी एग्रीमेंट नहीं है देन इन दैट केस आपको 15 डेज में पेमेंट करना रहेगा उनको.
देन 45 डेज वो नहीं काउंट होगा?
यस यस यस.
ओके.
सो देयर इज वन क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम
Excuse me,
विरल
sir.
शाह.
I have a
सॉरी.
doubt.
हाँ, यस.
Okay, if for example the acceptance of the bill has been done by 20th of March, but to 45 days will come after that financial means 24-25. तो उसके बीच में पेमेंट कर दिया हम लोग ने, तो भी वो फॉर एग्जांपल हमने पेमेंट नहीं किया तो भी डिसअलाउ हो जाएगा क्या
सी
23-24 में?
एज यू आर टेलिंग कि आपका कोई डिस्क्रिपेंसी निकला, करेक्ट है?
हाँ मतलब 20 मार्च का था, बट 45 डेज में हमने पेमेंट किया. 45 डेज इज फॉलिंग बियॉन्ड 23-24.
करेक्ट.
सो
बट आपका कोई
उसमें
भी,
भी
करेक्ट, डू यू हैव एनी एग्रीमेंट कि कितने दिन में पेमेंट करना है एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स?
नहीं, कुछ नहीं.
तो यू हैव टू मेक अ पेमेंट विद इन 15 डेज ना, यू कैन नॉट टेक अ शेल्टर ऑफ 45 डेज.
And he's telling that the bill was accepted on 20th of March. The service was accepted on 20th of March. So 15 days is not over by 31st March. Right, Harshit?
Yes, yes, sir.
So sorry
Yes,
Arshit, just can you explain your question once again?
सर क्या हो रहा है कि इधर बिल का एक्सेप्टेंस हो रहा है 20th ऑफ मार्च तक, बट
Okay.
15 डेज इज फॉलिंग बियॉन्ड 31st मार्च. तो हमने पेमेंट नहीं किया, डिफॉल्ट कर दिया. 15 डेज में पेमेंट नहीं किया तो भी क्या
डिसअलाउ
डिसअलाउ
होगा
होगा क्या
हर्षित.
23
देन
24
इन
में?
दैट केस अगर आपने पेमेंट नहीं किया, से फॉर एग्जांपल 15 डेज, आपका पेमेंट नेक्स्ट फाइनेंशियल ईयर में फॉल हो रहा है एंड यू हैव ब्रीच दैट कंडीशन, देन सर्टेनली वो डिसअलाउ होगा.
नहीं अश्विन, उसका ड्यू डेट ही नेक्स्ट फाइनेंशियल ईयर में आना है. 20th मार्च को एक्सेप्टेंस ऑफ इनवॉइस है और 5th जनवरी को उसका ड्यू डेट आ गया. तो 31st मार्च पे
फिफ्थ
डिसअलाउ
अप्रैल 5th अप्रैल को अगर 15 डेज के अंदर पे कर दिया,
ड्यू डेट ही 5th अप्रैल को है ना, तो फिर डिसअलाउ
सर्टेनली
होगा.
इट विल बी अलाउड.
हाँ,
5th
इट विल बी
अप्रैल को
अलाउड
पेमेंट किया तो अलाउ हो जाएगा आपका.
क्योंकि 31st मार्च तक वो ड्यू ही नहीं था. 15 डेज.
यस यस, 15 डेज उनका 5th अप्रैल को खत्म हो रहा है और बिफोर दैट पेमेंट कर दिया तो इट विल बी अलाउड.
नहीं, लेकिन उसमें ये है ना कि अगर वो 15 अप्रैल को किया तो डिसअलाउ हो जाएगा मार्च में. 5 अप्रैल के पहले किया तो ये अलाउ होगा.
विद इन 15 डेज पे करना है सर, से
हाँ,
फॉर
वही मैं बोल
एग्जाम्पल.
रहा हूँ.
हाँ, 15 दिन के अंदर पेमेंट करना है.
नहीं किया तो डिसअलाउ होगा, मार्च में डिसअलाउ हो जाएगा.
हाँ, लास्ट फाइनेंशियल ईयर में डिसअलाउ हो जाएगा अगर नहीं पेमेंट किया तो आपने।
Okay.
सो लेट मी।
अश्विन जी,
हाँ जी।
हेलो। अरे सर जी, इसका रास्ता क्या है? क्योंकि कस्टमर का पेमेंट तो 3-3 महीना 6-6 महीना आता नहीं है, तो इसका सॉल्यूशन क्या है?
सर अभी अगर आप सॉरी, हेलो सर, इसका
हाँ हाँ,
रास्ता
बोलो
तो
बोलो।
सर देखो, ईयर एंड के प्रोविजंस होंगे के ऊपर ट्रिगर होगा, और वी नीड टू चेक वेदर वी आर फॉलिंग अंडर ट्रेडर और नॉट। ट्रेडर के लिए रास्ता है अदर देन पेमेंट है, ईयर एंड का प्रोविजन है, तो एज सच कोई रास्ता नहीं है। लॉ क्लियर कट है अभी।
क्योंकि इससे बिजनेस सीधा 50% पे आ जाएगा।
आई अंडरस्टैंड सर कि आपका
आप आपका सोल्यूशन ये है कि आपके वेंडर से आप डिक्लेरेशन लो कि वो एमएसएमई नहीं है।
और अगर हम, अच्छा एमएसएमई नहीं है डिक्लेरेशन ले लो, और अगर ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग एमएसएमई है तो वो कैंसिल करा देवे सर्टिफिकेट, या क्या करे?
मतलब कैसा है कि आपका लायबिलिटी तभी है जब आपका वेंडर बोलता है कि मैं एमएसएमई हूँ, तो आपका लायबिलिटी
हाँ
है। अगर आपका वेंडर
हाँ।
बोलता है मैं एमएसएमई नहीं हूँ, तो आपका लायबिलिटी नहीं है।
अभी समझो सर, मैं एमएसएमई में हूँ बराबर, रजिस्टर, और मेरे कस्टमर है, तो फिर मैं मेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल करा दूं या क्या
आपका
करूं?
नहीं सर, आपका एमएसएमई आपको पैसा लेने के लिए काम आता है। आपके वेंडर का एमएसएमई इंपॉर्टेंट है, आपको जिसको पैसा देना है उधर आपको ध्यान
हाँ,
रखना है।
वो राइट है, लेकिन अगर ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग है वो तो।
एग्जिस्टिंग है तो कुछ रास्ता नहीं है। एक बार अभी अभी के टाइम पे कुछ रास्ता नहीं दिख रहा है।
अच्छा।
मार्केट में बहुत सारे चीज फ्लोट हो रहे हैं। एक चीज ये फ्लोट हो रही है कि आप ईमेल लिखो उनको और आप
हाँ।
उनको पूछिए कि आप एमएसएमई है क्या। अगर उन्होंने जवाब नहीं दिया तो आप अज्यूम करोगे एमएसएमई नहीं है। तो लोग
हम्म।
शॉर्टकट के रास्ते ढूंढ रहे हैं, लेकिन ये सब रास्ते कितने लीगली टेनेबल है वो पता नहीं है। आज की तारीख में देयर डजंट सीम टू बी अ लॉट ऑफ वेज, अनलेस मतलब एकदम सब जुगाड़ कुछ करना होगा तो करना होगा, बाकी सीधा कोई रास्ता दिख नहीं रहा।
Hello.
हेलो
Now,
अश्विन।
my question is regarding this quality issue. Now, we have a lot of quality issues with the vendors, and when we raise the objection, they don't accept. And so, and they say we don't accept, then it goes on fighting. So now 45 days or 60 days are gone. So what we do, how my position is, where we stand.
सर आर यू डेलिब्रेटिंग और I'll take.
No, I already told
Okay.
my question.
Okay. So in your case, sir, certainly, as you told that counterparty is not accepting about the discrepancies and all those things. Certainly, you need to keep the documentation with respect to that, because there is a no leeway or clear cut answer in the MSME Act or Income Tax Act में इसका कोई specific answer नहीं है. But certainly the definition says that कि जब से वो accept करेगा तब से पीरियड का मीटर चालू होगा. बट अगेन ये जस्टिफाई आपका डॉक्यूमेंटेशन करना चाहिए, बिकॉज एट द टाइम ऑफ असेसमेंट ऑफिसर विल सर्टेनली आस्क द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. सो
No, so my contention here is that you are not accepting the quality of your vendor. So you always have a point to say that I have not accepted the quality, so my due date doesn't start. So you have received goods from somebody and you are not accepting the quality. You have raised that objection with the vendor, but you are telling that the vendor is not accepting your objection. Is it right?
Yes.
But you have raised an objection and you are telling that I don't accept the quality of your goods, so my payment is not due. The payment due date starts once you've accepted the quality and then you have to pay the money. So
Okay,
you
fine.
document that I don't accept the quality of your goods and hence I don't accept your invoice.
And but he says I don't accept your version.
Yeah, that's fine, man. That's a litigation thing. As a payer, your liability starts once you've accepted the goods and services.
Okay. And
So, but documenting that is very important, that you have not accepted.
that's fine. And now
सर जी को
second question is, suppose my payment has become due for 45 days and I am short of money and I request my vendor I will make payment after 30 days. He says it's okay with me. You make the payment after 30 days.
Yeah. No, so the most
Yes.
of the time in businesses, your vendor is accepting even 90 days, 120 days because he also wants to do business with you or he has relations with you. But now the government has intervened and said that we will take action. It is not a bilateral decision between you and your vendor. It is the law which has come in, which is the problem. Otherwise, all this while the rule was same that you would give at 120 days, your vendor would accept at happily accept at 120 days because he had the margin to accept it. But now government always had a 45-day rule, but that 45-day rule was not accepted. So hence they had to bring this provision. Now they're telling it is not bilateral between you and your vendor. Now we are telling that in 45 days, if you're not paying, it will get disallowed now. Next year you pay, it will get allowed.
Okay. So means
Hello,
I,
Ashwin.
Yes, हाँ फाद भाई.
Yes, Ashwin, we usually make payments through checks. Okay, so how it will get considered? Clearance date or check issue date?
सर लॉजिकली आपने जब भी चेक इशू किया, से फॉर एग्जांपल आपका लास्ट डेट इज द 1 अप्रैल फॉर एग्जांपल, सो यू हैव टू
Yes.
मेंटेन द डॉक्यूमेंट कि आपने उनको ईमेल भी कर दिया है, आपने चेक इनको दे दिया, उन्होंने चेक 10 दिन बाद डिपॉजिट किया के 3 दिन बाद डिपॉजिट किया. बेसिकली जो चेक पे आपका डेट रहेगा एंड फर्दर एक और डॉक्यूमेंटेशन है कि कुछ ईमेल के थ्रू कम्युनिकेशन रखिए दैट चेक हैज बीन सेंड टू योर पर्सन के वॉट एवर, सो दैट एट द टाइम क्लियर तो बाद में ही होगा, बट वी कैन हैव अ स्टैंड एट द असेसमेंट लेवल.
Okay. Thank you.
Ashwin, is there any notification of the same?
Yes, Viral bhai, it is a notification MSME का है with respect to trader, but from an income tax point of view, there is no notification on this point. So I
But
can
there is a
share
there is
sorry.
a change in the law, Viral. There is no notification, it's a change in the law. We can send you the relevant section.
अच्छा तो भेजना ना सर, तो क्योंकि कस्टमर को भी भेजना पड़ेगा ना on the both the sides.
Yeah. Matlab it is like a protection for you as well, where you have to accept money. But it is a problem on the other side where you have to pay money. So it is both ways. You can take the benefit of this by sending this copy of the sections to ensure that you get your money in 45 days, saying that we read this and we are worried that in case you don't pay us in 45 days, this will get disallowed. So as a mutual relationship, we request you to pay us before 31st March. So that can also be used.
चलेगा, तो कुछ रहेगा तो सिर्फ भेजना आपके पास.
हाँ, we'll send it.
Okay.
Ashwin, there are other questions on the chat as well.
Just a minute, I am taking the questions as well. Fahad ka ho gaya. Sir, you have mentioned that there will be a difference in tax audit and tax audit report and tax audit report. Shadab, it is with respect to, say for example, as I have told that there are certain payment commission है, commission आपने as a tax auditor TDS नहीं deduct किया. So in tax audit there is one clause which says that if you have not deducted TDS you have to report that. So हमने वहां पे report कर दिया. So in section 43B, there is one more clause in tax audit report which says that whatever disallowances in section 43B you have to report. So दोनों चीज मेरे tax audit report में report हो गया. At the time of preparing the computation of income, I will certainly do the disallowances of section 43BH only and not with respect to section 40AIA. So certainly it is my just personal opinion. I have see अभी तक तो कोई written process नहीं हुआ है. This is what we have encountered or come in various circle. So it says that कि at the time of processing return, जनरली सीपीसी क्या करता है, ऑडिटर ने कुछ डिसअलावेंसेस किए हैं तो वो रिटर्न के साथ मैप करता है. So there can be a discrepancy to that effect. So let's see how practically it will work. The fact that the paying entity is also MSME make no difference. Registered entity होना चाहिए. Main वो है payment वाला हो गया. Is it applicable from this financial year? Yes, it is applicable from the financial year 24-25.
That question, whether the fact that the paying entity is MSME, it means that I am also MSME. Is it applicable to me?
Sorry.
Right? Means I am also MSME. My vendor is also MSME. So is it applicable to me? Yes, it is applicable.
Yes, it is applicable. Also, I have to ask one query. Also, I have to ask now every vendor if they are registered under MSME. Yes, we need to take a declaration whether they are registered under MSME. If yes, then what, in which category they fall.
Yeah. And also, is this applicable for financial year 23-24? Yes, it is applicable.
Yes, it is applicable. Sir, is this applicable to transporter also? If yes, then how to get MSME certificate? See, certainly exclusion तो किसी को है नहीं. Again, transporter will be in the service industry only, so it is applicable.
And you can get a Udyam registration. In case you can do it yourself, it is good. Otherwise, contact our office will get you that certificate. The copy of the certificate can be given to your customers.
Sir, can we allow to get payment in within 45 days? We are registered in medium type. See, again, agreement देखना है आपको, whether you have an agreement with that particular vendor or not. अगर agreement है तो based on the agreement date or
No, Ashwin, the question is whether it is only for micro and small or medium also.
so it is applicable to medium as well. Medium का जो person रहेगा, say for example, if an entity falls under medium enterprise and they are making payment to micro or small enterprises, certainly they need to
No, he
evaluate.
has to receive. He wants to get money. So whether he can, so whether this law applies also to medium enterprise to recover their money in 45 days.
Ashwin sir, I have a question, Ashwin sir.
So it is only to small and micro, right? Ashwin,
Yes,
not
yes.
medium.
It is only to small and micro, but say for example, I am an entity, I am making a payment entity, I am a payment entity.
No,
So
no,
I am
he is
making,
asking about get payment, not
okay.
make. So Hitesh Pandav, the question is, in case you are a medium entity, you don't get the benefit. But if you are a medium entity, you have to make the payment. So for receiving benefit, it is not entitled, but for paying, it is equally liable.
Correct.
Is communication on WhatsApp valid or is it to be done on email? WhatsApp communications will not be valid. It is better to take it on the letterhead of the client.
Our customer not paying on time, so can we force or reminder for payment? We are in MSME medium type category. Certainly,
Yeah, so same question, I think, Hitesh Pandav. As a MSME, you don't have the benefit of receiving money, but you have the liability of paying money. This is only for micro and small. Right, Ashwin?
yes, yes. Can we cancel our MSME registration, Viral Shah? Viral bhai,
Your cancelling will not give your liability is irrespective of whether you are MSME. You cancelling the MSME certificate will not entitle you to receive money. So this is irrespective of your size. You have to pay if your vendor is small and micro.
that's it from the chat box.
And Tejas Kadu, your question on medium, I think we answered. But the other powers that the MSME Act gives, that if you are a MSME, if you are a MSME vendor, if your money is not paid on time, you are eligible to get 3 times the interest of the bank rate. So those power you will have, but you don't have the benefit of the income tax section because that is valid only for small and micro. Perfect. Anybody else has questions? It is good to have so much participation. And in spite of that,
Ashwin,
Yes, yes.
we need any, so we have any format of taking declaration or
Yes, sir. We have the draft format. We will certainly share to all the participants.
okay.
okay. And even after this, if any of you all have any questions, please reach out to any of us as partners or any managers of the organization. And we will get you to Ashwin or some of the partners will help you find a solution to this. We know it's not an easy thing, but everybody is in this together. So the whole market is shaken by this amendment. So we hope that some good clarifications comes from the income tax department so that it eases life for all businesses. But till that time, any clarification has come, we are in this and we have to be very sure that from now till 31st March, how do we plan our books so that we don't have disallowances coming in on 31st March. As soon as we have updates, we will keep having a follow-up webinar and Ashwin can bring you up to date if we have some more clarifications or notifications coming from the government. Till that time, this is where we are. Ashwin, anything else from your side?
No, sir. No.
Can you share this PPT also?
Yes, we will share it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you everybody for joining in. It was great to have you here and we look forward to more such interactions and please reach out to her for more clarification. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Ashwin.
Thank you.